Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Breakfast Club. We're very, very lucky today because we have a former mayor, former city councilor, and presently county commissioner.
Correct.
John Mitchell, a dear friend of mine for many, many years. And we were reminiscing before we come on the air was that you had served 7 years in the city, Florida City Council.
Correct.
5 years as the mayor of the city of Florida. And now, how long have you been in the commission?
Been on the commission for 7 years.
7 years already?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah,
All right.
bye.
And there's so much that, what does a commission consist of? What is your charge?
Yeah, we get that question all the time, and to be honest, I didn't have much idea. I got appointed to it, so
Okay.
it wasn't an office I ran for initially. But we have really two major functions now. One, on the county commission side, we oversee the courthouses in the county that are not state-owned. So for instance, in Fall River, there's no more courthouse. They're all in the new building, the Justice Center on South Main, but we have the Registry of Deeds. In New Bedford, we have all the courthouses because there's no state courthouse. We have the Superior, the District, and the Registry of Deeds. And in Taunton, we have a registry in Attleboro. So
And that's the seat,
we oversee that.
Taunton, the city, was the seat of the Bristol?
Taunton is the seat of Bristol County. It's, you know, that's where we meet, that's where our office is. That was always where the, you know, on the green, those buildings, that was the main courthouse and the main center of Bristol County. I guess it goes back, Taunton was the first settled, so.
Yeah.
First come, first served,
and
and they got there first, so.
Yeah, how was it funded, John?
Several ways, like a lot of government. State legislature's been helpful, both through the school, and we're on a cherry sheet like anyone else. But remarkably, a lot of the money comes from deeds, you know, the registries of deeds. We get two sources. One, when you record a deed, there's a tax based on the value of the deed.
This is a new addition that was added to the deeds, I think, to help the county.
Yeah, we just, a couple of years ago, there was some legislation, but this goes back a bit. We get two sources. One is just off the stamps, so whatever is paid per share, per thousand on the stamps, we get a cut of that. And then we also get money on the recordings themselves.
Yeah.
So for instance, you record a deed now, it's 125.
Yeah.
We get 1% of that. So, you know, that's money that varies.
Yeah.
Before I got on, I guess there were a couple of years where the county actually returned money to cities and towns because there was just so, the registries were so busy. There were so many transactions, values had gone up, that they were generating more money than legally. A county can only keep in reserve 10% of what's called the county tax. Because our third source of revenue, we get some state money, we get deed money through the Registry of Deeds. But each community in the county pays a tax proportionate to its tax value. It's not by population. It's by tax valuation based commercial and real estate. So for instance, in Bristol County, the second highest county tax is Dartmouth, not because of population, but because of, you know, the higher values, particularly in Paden Aram, and then you get all that commercial development on Route 6. New Bedford's the highest, and then Fall River, but Dartmouth, over the last few years, has crept up with its higher valuations.
Yeah, I see that. Now, for the years, how old is Bristol Aggie, the school, under your jurisdiction?
It's 106 years old. I only know so exactly because we had its centennial in 2012.
Okay.
So I got on in 11, and we were planning the centennial then. It was a special act of the legislature back in like 1910 or so. And it's interesting because in those days, I think it was voted on in 1911, and the school started the next fall. And they had buildings. It's not like today, like we're doing a building project now. From start to finish, it'll be about 8 years. Back in 1911, it took about 6 months to put up some buildings.
It'll take 8 years to build a building like that?
Well, not to build them, but to complete the whole thing.
Okay.
You know, from an inception, from applying at the Mass School building until the last building. And our project's involved because it's not only, we're going to build some buildings, but we're also renovating. So it's almost a two-phase project. But
I think what's interesting is someone was telling me once that their daughter was an equestrian. And
got a great equestrian
great school for equestrians was Bristol Aggie.
Yeah, we have a huge really a wood and steel building just put up. It's enormous.
Yeah.
And I think we have somewhere 10 to 15 horses. We have an equestrian, that's part of the large animal program, which is our most popular. At Bristol Ag, what they have is they have majors, sort of like Diamond, but the majors are large and small animal, landscaping, floriculture, arboriculture, and agricultural mechanics. So you have those 6 majors. Part of the reason we're building is, for instance, this year, we just met last night. We have almost 370 applicants this year for 125 spots. So, 200 kids a year aren't getting in.
Yep.
So we're hoping with the building,
Don't
which
expand
has been
that?
approved, we're hoping to take another, our population for 4 years, the high school is about 450 to 470. We're hoping to get it up to 650 or so. So, each class we're hoping to add maybe 40 students,
Yeah.
50 students per year over the next few years. And that way, not as many kids will be rejected. There's a big demand for voc ed. You're active
Well,
with
just-
Diamond.
Yeah, I
how
think-
many families want to get their
Well, I
kids
think
in.
I think the number is it could fluctuate, but it's around 200 that have to be turned away because they don't have
Yeah.
the space.
Yeah, no,
And
they
you know
have a
what-
waiting list.
And with the Aggie, it's you have a lot of space, a lot of land that you own.
Yeah.
And you have a campus type of setup.
Yeah.
Diamond should be considering that as
Yeah.
well.
Well, Ag was lucky when it was built. First of all, it was built in Dayton where there was a lot of land available. So the campus is big. It's not built up the way a lot of schools
Yeah.
are, so there's a lot of room. And even with this proposal, the building that's been approved, we're going to MSBA in June, about a month from now, for final approval. But what's been approved to now is really 2 new buildings, which are at 1.1 building, but it's going to be 1 building with a lot of new classrooms for animal science, which, as I said, is our most popular major,
Yep.
large and small. We're also going to increase that major. We're going to have 2 other animal science majors within that department, and natural resources. So that's going to be a fairly good-sized building, and it's going to be all the science academic classes plus the vocational animal and natural resource.
SATV, which is us, hasn't done a lot with, or very little, quite honestly, with Bristol Aggie. And we, this morning, are making that offer to you as a commissioner.
Yeah, it would be,
and to them, that whatever exposure we could give you for the educational prowess or whatever else.
Yeah, as I talked about, I think a good thing, if you and your crew have time one day, is to go up to the school. We can talk to the superintendent, Paul Kitchen, who's originally from Fall River.
Oh,
You know
yeah,
his
I know
father,
Paul's-
Tom,
oh,
very
yeah,
well.
very well.
He now lives in Fairhaven. He's one of the commissioners. He's the head of the building committee. He's done a great job. Paul's background in he's an attorney, but he works in school systems
Yeah, he
as
has
a
for a long
financial
time.
advisor.
Financial
And
services.
right now, he's at New Bedford Voc. He had been at Fairhaven. So he's dealt with mass school buildings extensively. He's been a tremendous help, and I think if we get a few people, we can tour the campus, show you what's being renovated, show you where the new building's going, and we've got some nice, drawings right now of what the buildings will look like.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to add a lot to the school because we'll be able to take more students. We won't
Yeah.
be rejecting as
Oh,
many.
yeah.
And we'll also, we'll be up to date. The main building, Gilbert Hall, where most of the classes are, the labs just aren't big enough. The classrooms are too small. And we'll be renovating that building.
Yeah.
So when it's done,
Well,
it's a great school now. Yeah, well, that's the thing.
The thing is, it's a hidden gem, at that
No,
point.
it's,
So take us up on that offer, which you have.
Be glad
is
to.
Is to
We'll pick a sunny day, though, no rain.
pick a sunny day. Yeah, well, we'll pick a sunny day. And all 3 of my sons, Brian and Mark will,
Yeah, no,
myself,
we can
will
get up
assist them,
there.
we'll do the whole thing. And we'll make it more than a half-hour show. We'll make it more an hour show.
Yeah.
And then we'll put it on YouTube.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. 'cause,
Everybody can see that.
And maybe, I'll talk to some of the architects. Maybe we could get one of them down to explain things in more detail.
We'll pick out a date that's
Yeah, that's
accommodate
convenient for
everybody
them.
and
Yeah.
make a day of it. Because I know that I had interest in this a long time ago.
Yeah.
And we Bill Long was a guy that was John Long rather, was very much interested in Aggie
Yeah.
through his brother.
And Bill, a long time, was the counsel for the school committee, the
Yep.
trustees at the school. In fact, the meeting room we meeting is the Bill Long room.
Is that right?
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, and it's interesting because I'm sure you recall, but in the early 1990s, the school was ready to close. And
Yep.
you as Senator Joe Menard, who represented the district
Yep.
at the time, were instrumental in keeping it afloat because it was having trouble. I mean, at the time, I think there were only 30 or 40 students enrolled.
Yeah.
It was a very small school per class.
Yep.
So, you know, they were graduating 30 to 40 students. They're now graduating somewhere between 95 to 110 every year. See, it's hard it's a hard school to transfer into after second year, like
Yeah.
Diamond is.
Yeah.
Because if you miss a year of voc,
Yeah, you miss
it's hard to transfer in your
Yeah.
junior, and you can't transfer in your
And,
senior
and,
year.
and you know, and it is the way of the future. I mean, you know, years ago, years and years ago now, they looked at Diamond as sort of a cast off to the whole thing.
it's not.
Today,
Voc Ed
voc ed is the big thing.
Yeah.
Aggie, a big thing, and
Yeah.
it needs all the help it can
And
get.
no one's stopping at the high school. I mean, whether they're going to four-year colleges or community college or technical schools, almost everyone who graduates each year I've been there is placed. But very few, I mean, students can still come out and go into their field, but most of them aren't doing that. Most of them are going on to, like I said, if not college, they're going to something technical. They're going to community colleges, maybe in nursing, a scientific and environmental field.
It's,
and
hasn't
finding
it broadened?
judges.
The opportunities for kids have broadened,
Yeah.
John, so much
Yeah.
because the fact is they've embraced these schools that normally were, you know.
Yeah. And the key thing is if they, stick with education.
Yep.
And it's going to be different than it was for us. They're going to have to continue
Yeah.
over their life because things are
But the
changing
job, you
so
know,
much.
I'll just refer to Diamond for a moment if I can. We did one on a shop which had welding, all right? And a teacher there told me, he said, there are companies that are looking to take kids out of here for welding, you know, every day. So I do a lot with the Tin Can Sailors, which is the Navy's sailors. We do a thing called Veterans Corner. And we talk about experiences. We even did nursing homes with veterans, okay? Veterans. And one of the things was, I said to the people, the active in the Navy, I wanted to see what kind of, with the upgrade in the defense contracts, how many would be interested in an application for jobs. Well, they put it up on a computer, and it's amazing that they're right now will take just about one. They're trained, and like it's safety and the rest of it. We put them into building everything. It's amazing. It's
No,
amazing.
it is. It's,
And I don't.
but no, the voc ed is clearly, it's transformed since we were younger. You know,
Absolutely.
it's appreciated the way it should be. And it's graduating students with skills that are employable immediately.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about Bristol Ag now, when we grew up, it was all male. They
Yeah,
had
it's co-ed.
dormitories. Not everyone boarded, but a lot of students boarded. It's now, we're anywhere from 65 to 75% female each class.
Really?
Yeah, we get a lot of female applicants.
Not because of the curriculum?
Yeah, the big attraction is animal science, large and small animals, equestrian. A lot of young ladies who either ride or want to ride. And, you know, you can just walk down the roadway at the school and there's horses and there's a great
Absolutely.
equestrian area.
Absolutely.
And
And you got a
can
bridge
ride
now
there.
that doesn't cave in. So I mean,
Yeah,
you can
that's,
get across.
the bridge is beautiful though, isn't it?
Isn't
They did
it?
a
Oh,
great
yeah,
job. It's one of the nicest
There was a
bridges.
fight. There was a fight,
Yeah.
money-wise, and with
Yeah.
us as to getting the bridge and getting the
Yeah.
money. And Pat Haddad was the leader
Yeah.
in that getting that bridge.
No, they did a nice job. They put a nice facade on it. And
Yeah,
it's,
yeah.
it's a beautiful campus. If people,
And it's
particularly in Somerset,
Oh.
just go up 138. Yeah,
It's
there's-
perfect. I mean,
What is there, 4 or 5 ice
build-
cream shops on the right
yeah,
up?
Well, build a racetrack
Yeah.
at the top of it, then you can set up the equestrian.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's an amazing school, and as I said, way back when it was really tough times, that's when you got acquainted with what was going
Yeah.
on there, and then people stepped forward. not to
Yeah,
see it.
well, they got a lot of alumni support then. And they get a lot of community support. They have, and I'm sure they do the same at Diamond. Each major has an advisory board.
Yeah.
So like arboriculture, which is trees,
Yep.
has people in the tree business, some graduates, some not. In fact, we're having, once a year, we have the annual meeting, which is required by law, but which is a nice social event. And, you know, all the advisors come in and meet with the department heads, and they give a lot of time, some money, and a lot of them employ the students either part-time, summer, or some hire them full-time. But each major has, you know, 5 or 6 advisors who meet and keep them current with what's going on in the particular field.
John, the plans that are going on to build a new school, whatever it is that the plans consist of, is this, all of the things we talked about earlier about funding for the school, is that all available to meet whatever this match will be?
No,
Will they
this,
give you any money, the state, to build a school?
Yeah, the state, the way Mass School Building works, and Somerset's familiar with it because you just built the high school, and I
Yeah.
think you got roughly 50 to 55%, something like that, reimbursement. We're looking at a similar number. We're somewhere about 50% that the state will fund. It's complicated because they don't reimburse everything, and then on construction, they only reimburse a certain amount of square footage, and it's lower than what the current costs are. So I think our approved rate was somewhere almost 60%. But when you do everything, it'll
Yeah.
come to about 50%. But that's generous. It's roughly $105 million project. So the state's going to pay somewhere around 50 to 55 million. The balance will be funded locally. We had meetings over the winter. The way the county's run is the school has a board of trustees which oversees the school and is sort of the school committee.
Yeah, yeah.
It consists of the 3 commissioners and then 4 appointees of the governor. Those 7, you know, manage the policy for the school and oversee it generally. Then the commissioners oversee the county.
Okay.
But over the commissioners is another board, the advisory board, which consists of the 4 mayors or their designee on the city council, and each town sends 1 representative. Typically, we only meet to go over the budget. We'll be doing that probably over the next month or 2 for the fiscal 19 budget. But this year we had to meet several times because we needed a special assessment on this. I mean, we've got to come up with 50 million, and the way that'll be paid is through a separate assessment to the communities, just based, the communities pay.
In the Bristol County?
Yeah, the communities right now in county pay roughly a little less than $2,000 a year per student. So if your community has 6 students, you pay 12 grand.
Yeah.
If you have 30, you pay 60 grand. There's going to be a separate assessment based on the cost per student of whatever in effect, the mortgage, whatever the note on the our 50% of the building ends up to be. So we haven't borrowed anything yet. We'll probably be borrowing over the next 3 to 6 months, just a small amount, not the 100 million, because we now got to do bore testing. We've got to, you know, test the soil, test for hazardous waste. We've got to do, you know, more detailed drawings to go out to bid. We expect the project to be bid probably next spring, and we're hoping to have at least a groundbreaking and start construction by next, maybe as early as August, maybe as late as October. But that's how it'll be funded. It'll be an assessment to the towns and cities based on the number of students they have in the school.
Great. So you say probably next year you will have made that basically all of the financial commitment of where you're going to go, even if it's not on the ballot. You'll be able to do that. That's great.
Yeah, and the towns were very supportive. We ended up having 2 meetings because we had one, I remember the date, it was January 6th, which was the night before it actually dropped below 0, and it was just a cold, cold day.
Yeah.
And to their credit, we had a good turnout. People did tours. It was like 5 degrees out, and people are out walking, doing tours and that. We held the meeting, and there was a misunderstanding. One of the towns thought they could send an administrator, but you have to designate an elected official.
I see.
So we went ahead because other counties actually do just designate administrators, not elected officials. And we had, I think, 49%. The administrator put us over. It passed those present like 95 to 5%. But the vote, we were concerned, might not be valid when bond council looked at it, sort of like what happened, in Swansea with the waterfront.
Yeah.
So we didn't want to risk that. So what we did is we held another meeting a couple months later, and we had a bigger turnout, almost 60%, and it passed again in the 90%. So there was good support for it.
Your law degree plays a big role in this, John, because there's so many changes and
It's
flips
unbelievable.
that
It's
are done.
just,
They say it's better to watch sausages being made than laws.
Well, you know that. You were the lawmaker, not me.
But there's so much legal stuff that has to go
It's
into
just-
that. And sometimes, and a lot of times it's overlooked. I mean, you look at what help vocational training should be getting, not begging for, should be getting, that sometimes overlooked until all of a sudden the stark reality hits them in the face. This is a country of tradesmen.
Oh, it's also a country of laws and regulations. I mean, you
Much
look at
more.
education, and you're familiar with it. I mean, you've got everything. You got the secondary and elementary. It used to be called Department of Education. It's
Right.
now DESE, Department of Elementary and Secondary Schools. I mean,
Yep.
the amount of regulation. I mean, I was chairman of the Fall River School Committee as mayor 20-some years ago. The
Yep.
difference in 20 years, the detail of regulation, what they oversee. I mean, when I first got on, we looked at the admissions policies because that's important in a Vogue school.
Sure.
And we made some revisions, but everything goes through the state. You can't set your own admission policy. It's got to be reviewed and approved by the state. Then you got just the regulation between the school board in effect and the people who run the school, the principals and superintendent. You got all kind of regulations about students and how they're treated and what can be done. Regulations on the curriculum. Then you get into the school building, and that's a whole different
Whole
world.
different cat.
Yeah, we've you have to hire consultants,
Yep.
and they can tell you what, because I mean,
They've been through
you'd be reinventing the wheel every time.
Yeah. Every time it would to be a big scream to us when I was in the legislature, is that, oh yeah, you can mandate changes, but you never fund them. And that's the truth.
Oh no, and you couldn't fund them all.
Couldn't fund them all.
No.
So it's just so much. Listen, you're gonna have to take it. You're gonna take us up on this.
Yeah, I'd
We're
be
gonna
glad
be
to.
a sponsor for Bristol Aggie in every way
no,
you
I'd
want us to.
appreciate it. Yeah.
And we're going to get to the school. We'll set that up at another time.
Yeah.
And of course, talk to your colleagues, your
Yeah,
commissioners.
no, we'll get them together.
And we'll get some
yeah.
pictures to add to this tape of the school.
Yeah.
Okay. So that we really enjoy doing it.
Yeah, no, it's a beautiful campus. It's this time of year,
It's beautiful.
over the next 4 to 8 weeks, it'd be beautiful to go up there. Everything's in bloom.
Good.
The buildings look great.
I know the
and it's a
flower
nice
shows.
spot.
Flower shows are terrific.
Yeah, that'll be. We just voted on it last night. It's the third weekend in October again this year.
Okay.
And that's a great time. We now do one in the spring that's not as full blown.
Okay.
And not as much student creativity. It's more, it's a market type of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the students they sell their plants, they sell produce and things like that, but it's got a lot of outside vendors,
Yeah.
and it's just on a Sunday rather, so it's pretty quick. But
John Mitchell has, as he said earlier in the beginning of the show, he was 7 years as city councilor in Fall River, and 5 years as mayor of Fall River, and he's been 7 years, I think he said,
Yep,
as
as
a commissioner of Bristol County. And the issue, one of the bigger issues that he's embraced, along with many others, is Bristol Aggie, which is a school that has a lot of history, 106 years old.
Yep.
So SATV is going to give you a treat. We're going to show you that school in all its entirety and kind of follow the course for this school. Vocational schools are the future. John?
it'll only be a successful show if we get you to milk a cow
Yeah, that'll be something. That'll be something.
on camera.
Yeah, on camera. My friend, many
Thank
years,
you.
John Mitchell. Thank you for
Thank
being
you,
on.
Senator. Thanks.